All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wahawah Kakwadash. I say double honors to the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone for teaching his word in truth and sincerity and for ruling well. And salutations to my fellow Akim across the four corners of the globe, preaching in the name of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And this is a brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii coming to you with another live lesson. Today's live lesson is entitled, They Speak Loftily Concerning Oppression. And this video was inspired by a video I saw yesterday. LD Yashawama put up speaking about this similar topic in this particular video that you see in front of you with Senator Rick Santorum about how he dismisses so-called indigenous communities, which those are the tribes of Gad, Reuben, Issachar, you know, the so-called Native American Indians, man. All right. And how their contributions to the world at hand and even America's so-called culture, American culture, you know, because without Israelites, there would be no culture here in America. You know, we're the brunt of all the jokes. We're the most oppressed people in this country and around the world. Okay, but yet we are the most emulated people on the planet Earth, man. Particularly the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American man. Everybody wants to be like us. Like Paul Mooney said, everybody want to be a nigga, but don't nobody want to be a nigga. Well, everybody want to be an Israelite, but don't nobody want to be an Israelite. When you got to go through catching hell, when you being oppressed, when you being disenfranchised, you know, then everybody wants to get away. But when things are going well, now everybody want to jump on the train. Now, our people have put in our blood, sweat, and tears into this country by force, okay? Because our people, unlike the rest of you nations that, you know, live and dwell here in America, we didn't come over here as immigrants seeking a better life. Now you do have Jakes coming from the Central and South America trying to seek a better life, but when they come up here, they receive nothing but oppression. All right, they get the most menial jobs. Okay, they're incarcerated, from the children to the men and the women get incarcerated into these camps. They get separated, and Lord knows what's happening to them right now. Okay, the point of the matter is that, you know, these devil, and you know, our people, they seek to be a part of Esau society. Like he's gonna accept you, but for this man to stand up here and say the things that he say out of his mouth, it truly showed that he's a devil, man. And I've been meditating on this video since yesterday. You know, it's like 3:02 my time in the morning, and the spirit had it to where, you know, I was able to try to put a lesson
for something that happened 150 years ago, for whom none of us currently living are responsible, is a good idea.
Yeah, because just that's another thing too. These people, they don't make any account of our labors. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. And who's that righteous man? We are the Israelites, starting off with the hopeful elect, the hopeful elect men are standing up in great boldness with the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai upon us. And we're telling this man that his society is going to fall. We're preaching prophecy. Okay, we're warning our people to repent before the wrath of the Lord come. And then we doing all of this in the sight of Esau, man. Don't you know, like 50 years ago, we couldn't do such a thing like this. 50, 60 years ago, you would never see Israelite men, Black, Latino, Native American men standing on the corner with Bibles in their hands, with the word of truth, doing what they're doing, man. Okay? It was outlawed, especially for the so-called Negro, to read the Bible. And you know, Esau, he created a system where he basically got the cheat code. You know, he creates a system around our people to dumb us down, to try to make us seem as if we're a low-level people. And our people, yeah, our people wicked, Okay, they follow after this man's customs and his ways, but they're just following a dumbed down portion of them. Real quick, this is Habakkuk. I know I'm in chapter 2, and it says, "Woe to Salakia." Yep, 2:15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that puttest thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken. Also, that thou madest look on their nakedness, right? Because when you look at what the so-called white man did to the tribe of Gad, the so-called Native American Indian, okay, and how it was millions of Israelites on North American. I'm just speaking about North America right now, North American soil. And you Edomites, you came over claiming religious persecution and all this other madness, which that was a lie. That was a lie. Okay, you came over here in bulk to take over this land, and land was cheap. That's what got a lot of these poor, impoverished Edomites from Europe, Britain, England, uh, um, um, other portions of Europe over here to the Americas to what? To seek riches, man. It was basically like the gold rush, man. But instead of gold, just gold, it was land, it was property. And here it is. Esau had no rights to the land, but yet he took the land over. He took it and then started giving it out, parsing it out to his people. You see? And then what did they do to the tribes of Gad and Reuben and Issachar? They gave them liquor, so-called spirits. You know, something that our people weren't drinking. They weren't drinking that kind of strong drink. Put demons on them. It weakened them. They gave them smallpox blankets. It weakened them, sickened them, killed them. You know, disease warfare was a big tool of this devil had to use to accomplish. Then he came up with a Gatling gun because Gad was moving so fast, they couldn't just get him with a rifle. So they created that Gatling gun that shot bullets way faster to try to get the upper hand. When they came to this country, they brought war. See, you see, when they came to this country, they brought death, because this man is the man of death. He's the man of war. He's a man of sin. He's a man of iniquity. This is Psalms, Psalms chapter I think it's 95:5. It says Salakia. This is Psalms 55:21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords, man. So he came over here speaking. You know, they celebrate the so-called Thanksgiving every year. It's tradition in Israelite homes now, both of the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom, both Negro, Latino, Native Americans. Y'all follow these days, man. And then they switched it up, called it Indigenous Day. But what are you really celebrating? You're celebrating the massacre and the death of our people, man, by the hands of this devil. And then for him to come out his mouth to say what he's about to say, to basically dismiss it. That shows you wisdom of Solomon 5. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such afflicted him. Who afflicted us here? You so-called white people, man. And you don't like to be called on it. You don't like to be called out on it. You got the other nations afflicting us too. They following after your suit. Okay? And made no accounts of our labors, right? Because how many times are we going to say that we built this country? We built and operate this country. If you take all the Israelites out of this country, this country would be whack. It'll be through. It'll be finished. And that's another reason why they refuse to let us go. But at the same time, in the same breath, they'll dismiss and they'll make no account of our labors, man. To make it meaningful, to add up. But yet they'll try to act like they just came to this land. And he's spewing Edomite rhetoric that other Edomites, even lower level Edomites, say the same thing. Oh, if it wasn't for us coming over here, it'll just be land. We had an Edomite some years ago came by the camp and said that, man. Oh, when we came over here, the Indians were just fighting each other, and it was just a whole bunch of land. And if we weren't here, then you wouldn't have what you have today, cities and all this other stuff. Because look, we brought this as our technology, but guess what? A lot of Israelites was behind the technology that you Edomites use and you patent today, and that you're able to establish wealthy families through the inventions of Israelites, man. Right? So let me play this because, you know, I got a couple of videos. One with Mitch McConnell, not taking into account the labors of Judah here in America, the so-called Negro here in America. You know, we did a video a couple of days ago, and Lindsey Graham, he said the same thing. See, these same Edomites with these suits on, this dude is a straight up demon. He ugly too. They put, you know, you put just because you put sugar on shit don't make it sweet, man. And that's what Esau is. He's shit. And you put that suit and that tie on, and he come with these big words, these $1 million words, you know, and dismiss what we're going through. And then he'll put up another nation or another group of people's issues and concerns and oppression over ours, man, because they don't make no account of our labors. And if this don't show you that this man's the devil, I don't know what else to show you. So here it is. Let me play this real quick.
Much Native American culture in American culture.
Yeah, that's the first lie. There isn't much Native American culture in American culture. Native Americans have nothing to do with America's identity, because what is America's identity? Edomite, the so-called white man, prosperity, liberty, so-called freedom. At the same time, they were screaming freedom for at the same time they was talking all this freedom jazz. They had people in slavery. They had people in prison. You feel me? The same time. So this man could speak freedom, but yet, here's another scripture real quick. But yet have people enslaved, man. Does that not make you a hypocrite? Does that not make you a hypocrite? The same man that says, oh, it's all about freedom and a freedom of this and freedom of that. Oh, you listen, you Edomites can't give us what's already ours. Our unalienable rights that are unalienable. I can't get that word right, but there's a word that says it's basically the rights that the Heavenly Father give us, man, to speak the truth, to live a certain way, to have a certain quality of life. That's given to us, man, to be able to move around the earth without the so-called white man's paperwork. Because as it stands right now, he's the manager of the earth, and he's a terrible manager, man. Real quick, this is Daniel 8:25. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hands. Right, because that's what this devil does. He create these policies and cause what? Craft, mischief through his policies to prosper in his hand, and shall magnify himself in his heart. And that's what he does. That's what this devil is doing. He's magnifying himself in his mind. And there's very few people saying something serious about it. You got this tear right here, this Hamite tear right here. He's making light of it and jokes, but there's nothing funny about this, man. Here it is. You'll put the other nations' so-called accomplishments and things that they do in this country up on a pedestal, but when it come to our people, we were just nobody. Because like Elder Yashwamba said, you Edomites, you look at us as not humans. You look at us as subhuman, something inferior to you. But you're the inferior man. Why didn't tens of millions of Edomites come from Europe and any other place on the earth? Why didn't they come over to America and establish this place? I'm talking about cut the cash crops, pack the cash crops, put them on boats and take it back to Europe. Okay, why did they have Israelites doing that? Why did you have, if you were so powerful, you such a great man, you Edomites, you didn't did a good day's work in over 500 years. And I'm just being really conservative with that number. But as it stands, you Edomites, you didn't do no real hard work. And then these devils, they'll be in the woods somewhere chopping down trees, talking about how hard they built. My dad built this house and this land with his bare hands. No, he didn't. You've been building on stolen property. Don't you know that there's something called, when you go to court in the Esau society, if you get caught stealing, you an accessory. If you benefit from somebody stealing something, you are what? You accessory to that crime. You see? So through his policies, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. And he does that now to these other nations with his peacekeeping missions. He's killing people. How do you create peace with killing people? Oh, we bring some war over there, which really it just a guise for your agenda is to take over, divide, conquer, destroy, kill, steal. He shall also stand up against the princes of princes, which is Yahushai, but he shall be broken without hand. Right? The Most High is going to send his son Yahushai to destroy your armies without hand. He's not going to lift up nothing. He's just going to send them sparks and tempests and flames, and it's going to destroy your entire army. So what are you going to use to fight? You can't use your so-called money. That ain't no good. What do you have? You strip an Edomite of his wealth and his so-called, his imaginary power, and what does he have? Where's your ingenuity coming from? Where's your ability to be the salt of the earth come from? You don't have it.
We came here and created a blank slate. We birthed a nation.
He said we came
from
here.
Nothing. I mean,
we came here and created a blank slate. Listen to this. Let me show you a map. A map. They said they came over here and created a blank slate. They birthed a nation out of nothing. But yet you got things like this, a map of the tribes of the Indian nation, so-called Indian nations, man, which these are Israelites. And there's much proof to show that these people that were on the American soil prior to the so-called white man coming over here were Israelites, man. But look at this. You had Israelites. Gad was able to prosper and flourish as a nation over here, and Issachar and Reuben. So you had different, they weren't called states back then, but you had tribes, different tribes of Jake. So how can you create something from a so-called, where was the clean slate from? See, that clean slate that he's talking about was these Edomites coming over here, starting a new life, the low lives of those Edomites that were living in Europe, man. Straight up low lives. They were able to change their names, create an image for themselves, create families, long-lasting families of wealth attained by what? Theft, murder, robbery, and stealing. But it wasn't like this land was just barren. It wasn't nobody on it. Nah, you killed all these people. And these are just some of the major tribes: the Cree, the Blackfoot, the Cheyenne, the Pawnee, the Cherokee, Choctaw, okay, the Shawnee, the Apache. You had Navajo, the Shoshan, the Paiute, and then they were broken down in the lesser tribes, man. And you killed these people, man. You killed these people, and then you relegated them to reservations. Let's look up let's see if we can find a map of Indian reservations. Even that term Indian is a derogatory term in itself. And look, this is a map of the reservation. Y'all seen that map of the Israelites prior to this devil coming over here. Now look what they got. They filled up this whole map. Now look what they got, man. You got bigger reservations, federal American Indian reservations, state American Indian reservations, and what's this? Oklahoma, tribal jurisdictions. You see what happened? What happened to our people, man? How are we broken down? You went from having all of this because this devil came over, killed, destroyed, stole, and then enslaved Israelites. Okay, so to do what? To build up their society, man. You see, the Hopi tribe, right? The Osage or Osagog, Wind River, Crow and Creek. Never mind, we didn't even talk about the we didn't even get to talk about the what was that called? The Trail of Tears, where you forced pretty much all the eastern tribes on the eastern coast of America to walk into the center of America, man, on foot in the dead of winter. You see? So we went from having that, and so but he created they came over here with a clean slate. This man's a fucking liar. He's a liar. He's a deceiver, and everything shows, man. And they don't care about what happened to us. This is Nahum 3:1. Woe to the bloody city! It is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. That bloody city is America. America is modern day Nineveh, modern day Babylon. Well, it is Babylon the Great. A modern day, spiritually modern day Egypt and Sodom. It says, "Woe to the bloody city is full of lies and robbery, and the prey departeth not." You see, so we're that prey. We're the prey that departed not. You see, that's like us going over to Europe and saying, we created a new slate. It was nothing here. These people will have a fit, man.
We birthed a nation from nothing. I mean, there's nothing here. I mean, yes, we have Native Americans, but candidly, that there isn't much Native American culture.
He said we birthed it from nothing, and then dismissively said, yes, we had Native Indians, but Native American culture there isn't much Native American culture in American culture. Okay.
There isn't much Native American culture in American culture.
So they're basically saying that they eradicated so-called Native American culture.
It was born of the people who came here.
Yeah. So let's tackle that real quick. This is Psalms chapter 73. Psalm 73. All right, 73 and 6. Therefore, I'll start at 5. They are not in trouble as other men. This is the wicked. Neither are they plagued like other men, because it says the end of the wicked contrasts with that of the righteous. So the ones that are plagued with troubles are the righteous, man, on this side. And who are the righteous? The so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, Seminole Indian. They are not in trouble as other men. Neither are they plagued like other men. We're plagued, man. We're going through straits. We're going through hardships, pain, okay, destruction. But they ain't going through that, not as a nation. Therefore, and because they're not going through these things, therefore, pride compasses them about as a chain. Violence cover them as a garment. So they established this country by violence. And then 100 or so years later, 200, not even 200 years later, 150 years later, they're able to speak lawfully about it as if it didn't happen, as if it's still not affecting those people who it happened to less than 150 years ago. You see, you just casually forget what happened to our people and the tragedy we've suffered here. Yes, we broke the laws of Yahweh Shema Shah. You cannot negate that. That's the reason why we're going through what we're going through. But hey, Jake and the world don't know that. And we telling them that, but they ain't listening. But the point of the matter is Esau know this, and he's not making any strides to tell you that. You see? So much so that for him to live in a lawfully house, had this lawfully position, a lot of people had to die. His forefathers had to put people in slavery. Let me look at this dude, Rick Santorum, because he's nothing more than a devil. I know he was a Pennsylvania state senator or senator. Rick Santorum said America came from nothing. He's part of a long history. He's part of. We're gonna read that. Rick Santorum says, Native American groups call on CNN to fire Rick Santorum over embrace of genocide, and that's exactly what he's doing. But he's a devil. He's a man of sin. He was a former member of the United States Senate. Okay. Yeah, Winchester, Virginia. So let's look up his background. Richard John Santorum was born in Winchester, Virginia. He's the middle of 3 children, a clinical psychologist. So he's a demon. He's a demon. His middle and 3 children, who immigrated to the United States at the age of 7. Oh, wait, it says he is the middle of 3 children of Aldo Santorum, clinical psychologist who immigrated to the United States at the age of 7 from Riva, Trentino, Italy, and Catherine Doe, administrative nurse of Irish, Italian, and Irish ancestry. Santorum grew up, blah, 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 blah. I just wanted to see some of his early history. But just the way this devil grew up, balling, man. He's never known a hard day's work. He's never known struggle. He's never known adversity. He's never known any of these things. Why? Because he's not in trouble like other men. Psalm 73 and Psalm 73 and 5 again. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride compasses them about as a chain. So they wear pride like Jake. You wear them big old iced out chains. That's how Esau wears pride on his neck, man. And violence covereth them as a garment. So wherever they go, they bring in violence, man. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than their heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily, which, that's why we titled this lesson that. That term loftily in the Hebrew is marawam, and it says the Hebrew word is marawam. It says hype proudly. So they speak proudly when it comes to oppression. They don't mince words. But again, the scripture says in Nahum 3:1. Nahum 3:1 again, woe to the bloody city, meaning destruction. To the bloody city, it is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. And so we're still in this man's hands. We're still here, and you make no accounts of our labors. Let's go to this right here from historychannel.com. 10 Native American inventions commonly used today. As this devil said out of his mouth, there's no so-called Native American culture in American culture. But yet you got an Elder Yashawamba brought some of this stuff out too. You got corn, rubber, kayaks. Like he said, Esau be who you see kayaking. You don't see no Israelites kayaking. Who do you see having fun traversing the rivers and the waters with a kayak? Fucking Edomites, man. Edomites. But guess what? They wouldn't know nothing about this if Israelites hadn't introduced this to them, man. They would have never known. I'll just say people. See what happens. See what I find. Yeah, Edomites, kayaking, Edomites. They would have known nothing about this had it not been for our people showing them how to do this. And our people use this to traverse those rivers, man. The different rivers that they live close to, man. All right, without a life vest, man. Now people are having fun. It's a pastime. You see, but yet our people don't get no recognition for that. Corn, that's a major staple in the American diet. Rubber, kayaks, snow goggles, cable suspension bridges, raised bed agriculture, baby bottles, antiseptic and topical pain relievers, syringes, hammocks, oral contraceptives, Mouthwash. Hey, because some Edomites had stink breath. They weren't using mouthwash. Says kayaking. The Inuit in the Arctic developed a concept of small, narrow boats with a sealed cockpit to protect the paddler from sinking in the event that the craft capsized, according to the Canadian technology historian David Johnson and Tom Jenkins. The classic vessels were fashioned entirely from natural materials, unlike Esau, with wood or whalebone frames covered by stitched sealskin or other animal hides. Today, the kayaks in use across the world are sometimes built from modern materials such as plastic and carbon fiber, shit that can destroy and that does destroy the environment. But as the general note, the design is still essentially the same. You see? Cable suspension bridges, raised bed agriculture. Our people did this. Syringes, Native Americans fashioned syringes made of animal bladder and hollow bird bones to inject medications. According to technology in America, brief history, the technology didn't show up in European medicine until the 1850s. But yet you heathens, oh, there was nothing here. You use syringes all throughout your medical industry. Your medical industry would be nothing without syringes. When Scottish physician Alexander Wood began using needles to inject morphines to pain relief, to relieve pain, our people had already been doing this, man. Hammocks. You Edomites like to sleep in the hammocks, but guess what? You got that from our people, man. When Christopher Columbus landed in the Caribbean, he found natives resting in hammocks, a bed made from cotton netting suspended between two trees or a pole. According to his letters, hammocks were so comfortable and convenient that European sailors began sleeping in them on merchant and naval ships. You see? Oral contraceptive. The Shoshan and Navajo tribes used stone seed, also known as Columbia pucum, as an oral contraceptive long before the pharmaceutical industry developed birth control pills. There you go. Mouthwash. Various tribes in the northeastern North America use wildflower as a mouthwash and a treatment for oral pain. You see? You see? What was you Edomites doing? What was that? What was when y'all got off those boats? Why was y'all so funky? Because you lack the simple thing. You lack the most base operations in a human. You're the lowest of the low. In reality, you try to paint this picture that, well, in reality, the picture or the narrative you try to paint is that we're of an inferior nature. But in reality, you are. You Edomites are. All you nations are, man. You're low. We look at you, how you move, how you operate, how you deal with one another is on a low level. You don't deal on a high level because it's not in you. Now, this is for the Israelites. For the Israelites, all Israel. This is for the so-called Negroes here in America, because they say the same thing about you. You're nothing but thieves, robbers, destroyers, drug dealers. You're nothing but entertainment. 120 things you probably did. I'm not gonna go through all 120. 120 things you probably didn't know were created by black inventors. Potato chips. Everybody loves potato chips. Folding cabinet bed, gas mask, protective mailbox, blood banks, improved ironing boards, home security system. African-American nurse Mary Van Britton Brown devised an early security unit for her own home. She and her husband took out a patent for the system the same year, and they were awarded the patent 3 years later. In 1969, home security systems commonly used today took various elements from her design, but I bet you her family is not reaping the benefits from that. Where they at? 3 light traffic, refrigerated trucks, automotive elevator doors, electric microphone, color IBM PC monitor, gigahertz chips. Jake's created that. Super soaker, tissue holder, peanut butter, laser phaco. Patricia Bath, an ophthalmologist and laser scientist, invented a device technique used to remove cataracts and revive patients' eyesight. Automatic gear shift, clothes dryer. Just all the stuff you Edomites get to use. The golf tee. You won't even let a nigga on the field. But yet, we created the tea that you use to golf with every day. You see? But yet, we didn't add anything to American culture. And in fact, in reality, it's Israelite culture. Because the scripture says what? Jacob is the former of all things. So Israelites created these things to make life simpler because we are workers. So it's something said, hey, work smarter, not harder. You know what I'm saying? If you can make your job easier and get things done in a better way, then guess what? You're good. But you see, you look at all of this, the dislikes versus the likes, man. Over 930 people agreed with Rick Santorum, while only 216 disagreed. It is better to remain silent than have others think you a fool rather than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Poor Ricky, he should really work on keeping his shut his gob. Imagine what they would tell each other these conferences before they knew it could go viral on the internet. This man sounds extremely ignorant, and his confidence and nonchalant being that ignorant is generally alarming, because at this point yours is just being willfully stupid for your own benefit. You see, we created the blank slate with smallpox, manifest destiny, culture eradication, and damn it, we will not evolve from such a holy pedestal as this. You see, come to different places and escape persecution and faith. I love how they like to say settled as if they weren't people here. Stolen is more accurate description, but because they're not being judged, executions are not done speedily. Therefore, the hearts of sons of men are fully set on them to do evil. Let's keep on playing it.
Pursuing religious liberty, to practice their faith, to live as they ought to live. I don't know of any other country in the world that was settled predominantly by people who were coming to practice their faith. They came here because they were not allowed to practice their particular faith in their own country. And so they came here mostly from Europe, and they set up a country that was based on Judeo-Christian principles. When I say Judeo-Christian, the Mosaic laws.
But they don't. Hey, he said it was set up on a Judeo-Christian or the Mosaic laws, 10 commandments, the teachings of Jesus Christ. Well, guess what? You don't follow none of the commandments, not one. This is Psalms chapter 50, verse 16. But unto the wicked, the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? Who is the wicked? The so-called white man. You are the wicked. You can go to Malachi 1 and 4 and read that. They the border of wickedness. All right. Wherever they at, wickedness starts and stops with them. All right. But unto the wicked, the Most High said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing thou hatest instruction, right? Because the scriptures are instruction and righteousness. Esau hates that and casteth my words behind thee. As they swear on the Bible, they put it to the side and they give you his law that he created. They judge you according to his law, which is corruptible, is corrupt. His law, his judicial system is completely corrupt. When thou sawest a thief, then thou consented with them, and has been a partaker with adulterers. Yep, spiritual adulterers, all of that. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, thy tongue frameth deceit. And you heard a devil talking. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thy own mother's son, because we're more related to this devil than any other nation on the earth, man. But he slanders us, man. He slanders his own mother's son, man. That's what he does. He tries to create this narrative as if he just evolved. He's the superior apex of man. And he just evolved to this high, so-called civilized state. And everybody else was just sitting around doing nothing. Just being waiting to be conquered. You see? But these so-called 10 commandments, well, not so-called 10, these 10 commandments in Judeo-Christian, when I say Judeo-Christian, the Mosaic laws, well, you break all of them laws. This dude don't even have a beard on his face, man. You know he shaved. His skin is leprous. It's all get out. He's not white. The borders of his letters are white. His shirt is white. His skin is red. He's an Edomite. So I can't. He's an Edomite, but yet he talks about the Mosaic laws, but it's only in word. It's not in deed. You see? Let's hear Mitch McConnell. This half dead demon.
For something that happened. I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago, for whom none of us currently living are responsible, is a good idea. We've, tried to deal with our original sin of slavery by fighting a civil war, by passing landmark civil rights legislation. We elected an African-American president. I think we're always a work in progress in this country, but no one currently alive was responsible for that. And I don't think we should be trying to figure out how to compensate for it. First of all, it'd be pretty hard to figure out who to compensate. We've had waves of immigrants as well. I think we should be.
Yeah, that's all bullshit, man. They don't care. They don't care. They speak lawfully concerning oppression. Now, he mentioned something called the America's original sin, right? It says it's time. This is from February 16, 2021. It's time to stop calling slavery America's original sin. Well, they're not even repentant of it. You're supposed to be repentant, make right. If you committed a sin, you transgressed the law, which they did, because they kidnapped the. Well, I might get that before I go into this. This is Exodus chapter 21, verse 16. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. So you broke the law. I'll read the NIV version. Anyone who kidnaps someone is to be put to death, whether the victim has been sold or is still in the kidnapper's possession. Judgment, right there. But yet, this devil will say, "Oh, America's original sin," and they say it so casually. And there's another word, the cavallary. They have a cavallary way of saying something, man. Yeah, let's see. There's cavalry. There's cavalry. Cavallary. No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They just have a loose way of saying it. America's original sin. It says a modest proposal is it's time to stop calling slavery America's original sin. There is no need for me to name names. So many people do it. Secular people as well as religious people, lay historians as well as men and women of the cloth, rabbis, as well as ministers and priests. People who believe that Adam and Eve's disobedience resulted into the expulsion from paradise and estrangement of human beings from God, and people who have never given the fall its consequence a moment thought. Left wingers, right wingers, and just about everyone in between. And one of few things about which longtime political opponent, Senator and Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, which we just heard him say that, and former President Barack Obama agreed slavery was America's original sin. The habit might seem harmless and shorthand for saying that slavery was distant, deeply embedded and bad. All history is in hindsight. We often see things that people couldn't or didn't see at the time. We tell stories and blah, 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 blah. The idea that slavery was America's original sin is one such metaphor used at least as far back as the debate in 1819 about the admission of Missouri to the Union as a slave state. The problem is that it is a weak, misleading metaphor, concealing much more than it reveals about early American history. the institution of slavery, the aftermath of slavery, and the messy business of making a nation, we should abandon it. Here are a few reasons why. For starters, the phrase is a theological characterization of a secular institution, which it came from that Christianity. For those who use which that's not it's just to say it's America's original sin. No. America was created on sin, man. It exports and imports sin. That's what it does. For those who of us who do not believe in the divine law of sins against God, it is an unnecessary confusion of sacred and profane. As history and anachronistic today, most devout people believe that chattel slavery was a sin. The rest of us agree that it was a violation of values we hold closest to our minds and hearts. Yet none of us can deny that in the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries, human beings, Israelites, were enslaved all over the world, as human beings had been enslaved for 1,000 years. But the way you Edomites did it was just wrong. You know, you talking all, and this is all of them shifting the blame. Nobody cares. Nobody down here cares about what happens to us, man. America's original sin and slavery and the legacy of white supremacy, because that's exactly what that goes to. That's exactly what that goes to. You see, it says the document most closely associated with the creation of the United States, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, present a problem with which Americans have been contending from the country's beginning: how to reconcile the values espoused in the text with the United States' original sin of slavery. The flaw that marred the country's creation, warped its prospects, and eventually plunged into civil war. The Declaration of Independence had a specific purpose: to cut ties between American colonies and Great Britain and establish a new country that would take its place among nations of the world. But thanks to the vaulting language of famous preamble, the document instantly came to mean more than that, So it just shows you that these devils, man, they know what they did was wrong, but they don't care. It's not nothing for them. They don't feel the need to repent because they're the devil. They're the great deceivers of the world. Revelation 20:7. And when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, because these Edomites, these adversaries of ours, the chief adversary Esau, Edom, they were no people on the earth. They were in caves. They were scattered. They were at a low estate. And after 1,000 years, chiefly 1492, they came back on the scene with vigor. All right. And shall go out and deceive the nations. And that's what they've done. Since they've been free, they've been deceiving the nations of the world, which are in the four quarters of the earth. Gog and Magog to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. You see? So that's what they do. All they do is deceive, man. Race, this is from an article called Building the Myth of Black Inferiority. It says, beginning in the 18th century, differences between the races became magnified and exaggerated in the public mind. Hundreds of battles with Indians, and that's a byword, because they're people, tribes of Israelites, man. Gad, Reuben, Issachar had pushed these populations westward. It says hundreds of battles with Indians had pushed these populations westwards to the frontiers and relegated them increasingly to reservation land. A widely accepted stereotype had grown that the Indian race was weak and would succumb to advances of white civilization, so that these native people would no longer be much of a problem. They had a term called killer Indian save the man. Their deaths from disease and warfare were seen as testaments to the inevitable demise of the Indian. Racial stereotypes of Africans with Israelites, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, was magnified by the Haitian rebellion in 1791. This heightened the American fear of slave revolts and retaliation. And this is what you Edomites are scared. You scared of retaliation, causing greater restrictions and ever harsher and more degrading treatment. Grotesque descriptions of low-status races, blacks and Indians, were widely publicized, and they helped foster fear and loathing. This negative stereotyping of low-status racial population was very present in the public conscious, and it affected the relations among all people. You see? So that's what American culture is lies, deceit, wickedness, evil. You see? You see? This man is the devil. This man is the complete devil. And for him to say the things that he say out of his mouth, sometimes you just gotta, like, what? Really, nigga? And the brother Kazak Bunya Howard, the Numbers 35 and 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it, right? Because that's what you've done. The only way the blood's going to be cleansed is when you Edomites are destroyed, and it's coming. It's coming. This is Isaiah 14 and 21. Isaiah 14 and 21. It says, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the faces of the world with cities, because that's what you Edomites have done. So slaughter is being prepared for your children. You Edomites. You Edomites, Rick Santorum, Mitch McConnell, all these Edomites standing here, they're the children of the devil, of Edomites who oppressed, destroyed other Israelites. And guess what? Slaughter is being prepared for them and their seed. Slaughter is coming for them. Okay? Because in reality, they are their forefathers in the reincarnation. They are the same men that were born back then, that were ruling back then, that were oppressing the children of Israel. The same thing they do in that day. There's nothing new under the sun. Prepare slaughter for his children and for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise. So you're not going to rise anymore when you fall this time, nor possess the land. You're not going to possess any land when you fall this time, and nor fill the face of the world with cities. You're not going to fill the face of the world with cities anymore. For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shem Shai, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew. And why is the scripture says son and nephew? Because the seed of your people flow through them. So you're going to be cut off, man. You're not even going to have a remnant, saith the Lord, man. You see? And that's the judgment that's coming to you devils, man. It says Israel's taunt, because we are going to taunt you, man. This is another scripture that it says, should take up a proverb. It says, yeah. Let's see. Yep. Isaiah 14 and 4, 144. Bro, I can tell you how about Shem Shai. Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how have the oppressors ceased? How have the golden cities ceased? And that's what America is. America is that golden city. And you Edomites are the oppressors, man. All right. So I just wanted to bring this out. I hope you brothers are edified. You know, Salaki, I didn't get to too many scriptures on the comment board. The brother Kazak Bunya Howard, Baruch 4 and 34. For I will take away the rejoicing of the great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. That's what's about to happen. Verse 33. For as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad at thy fall, so shall she be grieved at her own desolation. And that's what's about to happen to you devils, man. Baruch 4:32. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. And that's what's about to happen. That's exactly what's about to happen to this place, man. Okay? And our people shouldn't fret that this place is going to be destroyed. Our people shouldn't be mad or angry. No, it's supposed to be. This ain't our land anyway. Our land is in the land of Israel, and we're about to go back to that. And so with that, I want to say all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wahabakak Wadash. Say double honor to the apostles and the elders. I great millstone for teachers, word in truth and sincerity, and for ruling well. And salutations to my fellow Akim. Keep pushing, keep striving. We're almost out of here. Hey, shalom. On to the next.